Again, it has been a couple of years since we've had the audience of Senator Cardin. The last time we actually were a presenter with him was when he hosted a town hall meeting in Prince George's County to come in and get a greater understanding of what the climate is like for small and minority businesses. And since 2018, he's been working very diligently to make sure that legislative initiatives have been taken care of to mitigate some of the concerns that he heard from when we invited in the public to meet with us at the Bowie State University. At this time, I'm going to ask Jared if he will check in and let me know where we are. And there he is. So good afternoon, Senator Cardin. It's my pleasure.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'll give you a minute to get situated.
Okay, I apologize for being late. We had a last minute problem with the White House. It always happens that way, so.
Well, I just briefly introduced you to our audience. Again, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire team of FSC First staff, volunteers, and borrowers to welcome you to FSC First to host this afternoon's dialogue. We appreciate your busy schedule. We know that you've got a tight schedule, so we're prepared to jump right in and begin with your remarks.
Well, Shelley, first of all, thank you for your leadership on behalf of the CDFI communities and FSC's First. We appreciate it very much. We know these have been extremely challenging times, and we thank you for everything you've been able to do. We all recognize that small businesses are the growth engine of our economy, where innovation and job growth takes place. And I'm following the footsteps of Maryland Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell, who represented the 7th Congressional District for a long time, was chair of the House Small Business Committee. And in that, he recognized the need to sensitize the tools to minority businesses. So I'm really following in his footsteps. COVID-19 pointed out something we all knew, and that is, although small businesses are the growth engine of our economy, they're not as resilient during difficult times. So we knew we had to pass some extraordinary measures, and we did. And I was proud to work with my Republican counterpart, to Senator Rubio, to create programs under the CARES Act to provide help to small businesses. And the way that we came together was to create the Paycheck Protection Program and some other programs, but the Paycheck Protection Program. And it's been extremely successful. 11 million small businesses have taken advantage of these forgivable loans to the tune of $780 billion. But I recognized at that time that to make loans through commercial enterprises, which is required under the 7A program, there would be a challenge in underserved, underbanked minority communities. And that's why I authored a provision that found its way onto page 30 of the CARES Act that required the Small Business Administration to make special efforts for outreach in underserved communities. And the Inspector General pointed out that under the previous administration, they did not fully comply with congressional intent. And when we take a look at the original PPP loans that were made, we find that so many small businesses in underserved communities were left behind. And it was really tailored more towards the larger, more resilient small businesses rather than those that really needed the special attention. Historically, under the 7A program, the number of loans given to Black businesses is only 4.5%. For Hispanic businesses, only 8.5%. For women-owned businesses, only 18%. For veteran-owned business, only 4%. So we knew we had to do some special efforts in order to tailor the funds to the underserved communities. And as we reauthorized and replenished the PPP program, we supported walling off certain amounts for mission lenders, and ultimately were able to include a significant improvement in the capacity of CDFIs through the program that was included in the omnibus bill. And then on the American Rescue Plan, we further refined the programs to underserved communities. So we're now targeting the funds under the American Rescue Plan. We targeted to those businesses that have been ordered shut by government or not operating at full capacity, with the shuttered venue program, with the restaurant program. with the extra advanced idle grant program for the small businesses. We gave priorities to those that are minority owned, that are in smaller, in underserved communities. And what we need to do now is to implement the program. We also have the Navigator program, which will allow us to reach out. But clearly, the CDFIs are the area that we've seen the greatest help. And I might say something. When we take a look at the loans that were given out last year under PPP, the forgivable loans, the average size was in excess of $100,000. I use that only by comparison to say that when we look at this year's, it's about half that size. So we've been able to reach the smaller of the small businesses and the more vulnerable of the small businesses. So what is our agenda moving forward? We want to strengthen the existing tools under the SBA. We'd like to make the 7A Community Advantage Program, which works well, permanent, not just a pilot program. We want to strengthen the microloan programs. I have several bills that I have introduced that we want to see incorporated either into the American Jobs Plan or standalone legislation that would establish an office in the Capital Access Office of SBA, an office for emerging markets to deal with venture capital in minority businesses. I've introduced the Uplift Bill, which would have the SBA partner with the HBCUs and MDIs to establish incubator and accelerator programs for minority businesses. I've also introduced the Minority Business Resiliency Act that would codify and strengthen the MBDAs. These are all areas where we think we can make significant progress in helping minority and underserved small businesses. The bottom line is we want to learn from your experience, know what you've been able to do at FSC First. And just to let you know, the next chapter is the American Jobs Bill, but after that will come the American Family Plan that will also help us invest in our people, in childcare, cost of higher education, and those issues. And we also would like to have your input in regards to those issues. I know that Jared Hawkins is on the phone, who helped put this together. I thank him. I think Fabian from my small business staff is here. And I understand Eddie Tobin is on the call, your chief lending officer, a good friend of mine. So it's good to be with you all. And I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Senator Cardin. And again, on behalf of FSC First, let me be the first to thank you for being a staunch advocate for small and minority businesses. I know that you have had unwavering commitment to ensuring that we gain access to the resources that we need. I know first-handedly that you've been very instrumental in eliminating some of the barriers to gaining access to capital for small and minority businesses. So it is in alignment with our mission that we, as a CDFI and a CDC for the SBA 504 program, as well as being a community advantage lender, that we spend this quality time with you today to share with you what we have observed as some of the challenges for these small businesses and what we're doing as well to level the playing field for them. Our mission is to be the lender that they can trust to help introduce them to traditional financing and get them eligible and qualified to take advantage of those opportunities. We envision that we will be the premier lending partner for these businesses because if not us, who? That's what we're supposed to be doing as a CDFI, and we're pretty proud of the resources that we've been able to amass to make that happen. We're able to do that because we have a staunch, we have a committed group of volunteers who work with us. They represent our governance body and our board of directors. They also serve on our loan review committee. As you know, we're a lender service provider to almost a dozen other programs. And the reason why we've amassed all of those programs at FSC First is because we want to be the one-stop shop for non-traditional financing to help them get, a leg up, if you will, a hand up to qualify for traditional financing, thus increasing their access and enhancing their access to new markets as well as new investment opportunities. The board of directors is represented today. There are 13 members on the board. They represent 6 lending institutions, including the credit union. We have 2 or 3 business owners on our board of directors. I'm sure you recognize some of these names. We're led by Diane Brown, our chairman of the board, John Hale, who you know quite well, former SBA Office of Financial Access, I believe it is, and now founder and president of the Cornerstone, serving as our vice chair. Eben Smith is our secretary. You know him well, 3E Consulting Group in Prince George's County. Terrence Beverly, our treasurer, who's also senior VP with Eagle Bank. Valerie Dock, president of Bolana Enterprises. John Haley, vice president of M&T Bank. Andrea Harrison, who's a member of the state of Maryland delegation for Prince George's County. Garrett Jackson, representing the business community. Miranda Jackson, whom you know well, one of our colleagues in the grassroots out there knocking on doors and making sure that businesses remain competitive and gain access to procurement opportunities in Prince George's County. Shanton Kidler with Main Street Bank. Peter Sorge, chairman emeritus with Sorge and Associates. And last but not least, Ken White, with who's a senior vice president with Sandy Spring Bank and our past chair. So I think the representation of our leadership speaks well to how committed we are to being at the grassroots, making sure that we leave behind no small business that is seeking access to capital. In addition to that, we have a very qualified team of economic development finance professionals at FSC First. You've already recognized Eddie Tubin, our chief lending officer. Our loan administration team is led by Don Medley, and Beverly Everson Jones is our chief financial officer. You can see the rest of the team rounding out that quality group of economic development finance professionals who I would say look at deals in a very unique way, unlike traditional approaches that are used to evaluate and determine the eligibility of businesses that we finance.
An impressive group of people. I know many of them, as you pointed out. So you put together a pretty impressive group of individuals. So it's good to be on the call with all these individuals. You know, I'll make a comment. I mean, we really are trying to reach the underbanked, underserved communities, and you're really helping us in that regard. And we thank you for those efforts. President Biden, the Biden-Harris administration is very much focused on doing everything they can to make our system fairer. So as we're looking at the next legislation, which is the American Jobs Bill, known for its infrastructure, we are looking at ways to strengthen the opportunity for the underserved community in infrastructure contracts. So there's opportunity out there, and we want to learn from your experience. So thank you very much for your commitment to our community and fairness.
And to make sure that we stay fair, Senator, we also round out our staff and our board with other volunteers who make up our Loan Review Committee and the EDI Fund Financial Advisory Committee. Those volunteers are bringing real world solutions to the table to make sure that we are not unfairly judging the applicants who cannot qualify for traditional financing. And with the expertise that we have on our FAC, they're in a position to evaluate very complex commercial real estate transactions to make sure that the EDI fund can leverage the SBA 504 program and that we use our community advantage capacity to provide working capital and other access to capital that these businesses need. I think the thing that FSC represents best for you is our ability to leverage other people's money. We do a great job in making sure that we obtain a leverage ratio that far exceeds what some people would think would be cautious or safe to do. And we take pride in doing that. If someone else can do it, we should not be doing it. But if it cannot be done, we're the place for it to be done. And
very impressive.
Thank you. We're also very pleased to have strategic partners that work with us. And you know most of them, Economic Development Corporation, the Bowie BIC, the Maryland Small Business Development Center, the Maryland Women's Business Center, and our Prince George's County Office of Central Services. But we could not do this without our bank partners. And that's the message that I would like to share with you today. As a CDFI, it would not be beneficial for us to have that designation if we did not also have access to cash ourselves that we can then relend to these deserving businesses. And so these 13 or 11 to 13 banks represent those that have been committed to this cause for the last 20 some years. They've just stayed in the loan pool that we use for our community advantage guaranteed loans. And it's through their leadership that we're able to take on the added risk. These banks have invested in FSC First so that we can invest in the businesses that we identify as those that we want to see start and grow in Prince George's County. We do that under the umbrella of CDFI. And in addition to that, the SBA Community Advantage Guarantee Program allows those bank loans to be guaranteed up to 95%. So we do take on some risk. Prince George's County is definitely committed to this process. They're in it on an annual basis with funds that they pledge for loan loss reserves, thus fulfilling any gaps and risk that we might encounter in the loan pool. And the state of Maryland also provides guarantees. The other part of this that I want you to understand and appreciate is Maryland's Department of Commerce has reached out to FSC First, primarily because we're a fund manager with their video lottery terminal fund, to ensure that we take advantage of the dollars that they're receiving from the $1.9 trillion fund, CARES Act. And so they have received the dollars at a statewide level, but they're also sharing it at a county-wide level. And we were selected as the fund manager to help the state get those dollars on the street. We're pleased to do that, but we could not do it without best practices that we embrace from what you continue to advocate in SBA, making sure that we have best practices to follow. So I want to thank you for your leadership on that. I wanted you to see that our strategic partners are diverse and well-rounded, and FSC couldn't be the success that we are without them. And so under the SBA program, we're also active with NAGLE. You've seen me on the Hill testifying with NAGLE and NADCO, our trade associations, to bring you the feedback from our business community. And we're good at doing that. We have our ear to the grindstone. We hear our business community concerns, and we've invited some of them to be present today. So I'm excited to get to the Q&A session so that you can have an opportunity to hear from them directly.
Agreed. I already saw that we had one question in the chat dealing with the SBICs. Understand that that's an area of great interest as to how we can have greater opportunity in minority communities on the SBIC program. Mm-hmm. So we are looking at a legislation that will target help to the underserved communities in the SBIC program. So that's one of the areas that's under active review.
Okay. In the interest of time, Senator, I'm just going to conclude by saying, as a result of COVID, we've put $34 million in grant monies on the street in Prince George's County to over 1,500 small and minority-owned businesses. In addition to that, we have about $30 million available to lend, and that is outside of our SBA and our Community Advantage loan programs. Those are other loan products that we've either assisted in creating or that we're managing for other program managers. And we're excited to have that opportunity to make those dollars available, but we have some challenges and opportunities as well. And the challenges are few, but not manageable. Our businesses lack an awareness of all of these programs that are available to you, and you're being available today to help promote what's available from the CARES program is definitely part of our responsibility to be accountable to the business community so that they know what resources are available to them. We have insufficient staffing at FSC First to do all the things that we want to do, but we're mindful that there are other resource partners that we can lean on to help get us the resources that we need. And so we've been actively pursuing grant dollars, and we will continue to do so. As a matter of fact, we've applied for $750,000 in the CDFI Rapid Response Program. We've also applied to City Foundation and received funding there. As a member of the African American Alliance of CDFIs, we're always taking advantage of any new resource partners that have come to bear as a result of that. But I think the foundation of all of this that I'm sharing with you as threat is our businesses are unprepared to access capital, to access procurement opportunities, and to access new market. That means that it is absolutely essential that our technical assistance providers step up a little bit more to provide the level of care that they need to make them bankable and prepared to take advantage of these opportunities. And so we will jump in that game as well. We know firsthand how these businesses are lacking in quality financial statements and they don't have a clear path to their future. And so we're working with them as well as other organizations like Bowie Big to bring that technical assistance to the table. And now I will turn this over to you for your Q&A section. Don Medley, our Senior Vice President, is going to share with you some of the questions that are in the chat. And we recognize that you've allowed about 10 minutes for this. So we're committed to staying on time for that.
Good afternoon, Senator Cardin. It's been a while since we've been able to speak. I think it's been since 2018 when I served on your panel for the Small Business Committee Field Hearing at Morgan University. So it's been a while. So some of the questions in the chat, you already addressed the question about SSBCI, but another question in the chat is from our chairperson of the board, Diane Brown. Diane is also the COO of Prince George's Community Federal Credit Union. And her question is, what can we do to support your efforts on the Hill so that we can continue to be a resource for businesses?
Well, first, it's good to see you again. Since that hearing at Morgan has become the center for one of our women's business centers. So we're making progress in our state. And I remember that hearing, and thank you very much for your help. We need to continue down the path we have started. We've made tremendous progress in targeting help to the underserved community, but we're not there by any stretch of the imagination. The traditional programs under the SBA need to be fine-tuned. We need to take advantage of opportunities such as the American Jobs Plan to target the contracts to minority businesses and to greater increase the opportunities for small businesses in general contracts, not just subcontracts. So there's a lot of things we can do to strengthen existing tools in addition to the new tools that I've mentioned under the venture capital programs or under incubators or accelerators or resource partners. All those I think we can increase. The last point I would just point out is that in addition to the direct programs, we need to oversight to see how the resources that we've made available in response to COVID-19 are reaching the underserved small businesses. For example, state and local government got hundreds of billions of dollars under the American Rescue Plan. The state of Maryland is somewhere around, I think the final numbers were somewhere around $8 or $9 billion went to the counties and municipalities and state. Those funds could very well be targeted for some of the problems we're talking about. So we need to have transparency on how they're using these funds to make sure they're targeted to the communities that really need it.
Okay, thank you. This question is from Marisha Brown. Are there any upcoming grants or contracts for tutoring companies to address the COVID-19 learning loss that many students are experiencing due to virtual learning over the past year?
I really appreciate that question because it gives me give you this specific example. I think it's somewhere around $400 million has been made available to the Prince George County school system. I might be off by a little bit, but it's hundreds of millions of dollars have been available as a result of COVID-19. And there's good reason for this. Our students lost a year of school, over a year of school. And they're going to need after school programs. They're going to need summer programs. They're going to need tutoring programs. They're going to need all of the above. And we have to make sure that these funds get out to those who need it the most. And the purveyors of those services represent our community. And that's why I think this question is so important. The tutoring services should come from companies that are in our community so that we can help build the economy of our community, as well as solving the problem of the education gap as a result of COVID-19 and not being able to be in school. So the decisions will most likely be made either by the school board or Prince George's County, but we should be demanding transparency. I had a chance to meet with the county council this morning, and I urged them to exercise their oversight function as to how the funds are being distributed for two reasons. One, to make sure that the intended purpose is carried out, but secondly, so the public understands that the bills that we passed in Washington directly affect their community, so that we can get their support for the next round of relief, which will be the American Jobs Plan or the American Family Plan.
Thank you. Next question is from Ashil EQ, who serves as a volunteer on our loan review committee. He asked, given the success of FSC First during this pandemic in helping small businesses stay afloat, is there anything you can do to increase their funding to help them do even more of what they're doing today?
And the answer is, great question. So look at the formulas that we've used. We included in the end of the year bill, the omnibus bill, $10 billion, actually it's closer to $12 billion of direct assistance to CDFIs. $10 billion, I think, was in building up their capital and increasing their capacity. So we recognize that when we created the PPP program at the beginning of this pandemic, we didn't have sufficient structure for the CDFI's capacity in underbanked communities, and we wanted to increase that. So Treasury now has the tools to do it. Recently, they just announced some grant programs. If they need more resources, we should put more resources into it. I want to give a shout out to Senator Mark Warner. He was the principal author of this provision to strengthen the CDFIs and MDIs. And we need to evaluate whether the capacity needs further resources. We know the model. Now, do we need to put more money into the program? The second part is, we found that originally when we didn't wall off a certain amount of the money for the CDFIs, that the mission lenders were left behind. So as we look at programs moving forward, we're going to have a dedicated funding source for mission lenders. And that was one of the lessons learned from the COVID-19 experience. So we're going to be looking at doing that as we move forward as to how we can target the resources to mission lenders. I think all that can help as we move forward. We are looking at provisions within the American Jobs Plan to strengthen small businesses. We're looking at everything from mission lenders to direct lending, et cetera, and we certainly welcome your input.
Thank you. This question from Maurice Taylor, who serves as the chair on our Financial Advisory Committee. He says, what opportunities should small businesses look for in the drafts of the American Jobs Bill?
Well, the American Jobs Bill, the first thing is, again, let me tell President Biden's philosophy here, because I strongly endorse it. The American Rescue Plan was to get us past COVID-19. It was to put the money into the health and distribution of vaccines and into making sure that we got through this, to make sure our families survived, getting children out of poverty, direct payments to American families, protecting those who are unemployed, helping small businesses, and helping state and local government and our school systems, and preserving homes for individuals from foreclosure or eviction. That was the philosophy of the American Rescue Plan. The American Jobs Plan is to modernize our infrastructure so that we can compete coming out of COVID-19. So a good part of it's in transportation and water infrastructure, but it's also in broadband. It's also in energy infrastructure. It's also in housing. So it's to get the infrastructure we need. The American Family Plan is to invest in our families so that we have a workforce that can meet the needs of the future. And that plan includes affordable childcare. It includes affordable post-secondary education, paid family and medical leave. So when you look at what President Biden's trying to do to make America fairer and more competitive, that's how we are targeting into it. So in the next chapter, which is the American Jobs Plan, I want to make sure small businesses are part of that infrastructure. I follow in the footsteps of Parent J. Mitchell, who took the government procurement and said, hey, we need to target this to help small businesses and minority small businesses. He was right. Now we need to take this major new investment in infrastructure to make sure that we're targeting this to reduce the historic gaps in opportunities for minority small businesses, smaller small businesses, women-owned small businesses in underbanked communities. All those need to have attention in this bill. So I'm working on a section with the support of President Biden, with the Biden-Harris team, to fine-tune the jobs plan so that small businesses, minority small business, underserved small businesses, including issues such as the SBIC and the financings that are available to small businesses, that we use this as an opportunity to bridge the gap that exists under our current programs.
Thank you. Mark Ridley, who's a restaurant owner, says that the Restaurant Revitalization Fund is a massive initiative, and says he understands the applications total over $66 billion with only $28.5 billion in allocation. Will there be additional funding allocated for this fund?
And as you know, the program window is open for 21 days, a priority to minority small businesses, women-owned small businesses, restaurants we're talking about, so that we provided opportunities for the underserved community as a priority under the restaurant program. This is the third program we have for restaurants. We had PPP with a more generous definition on chains, and then we had the PPP2 that provided a more generous amount of money under the forgivable loans for restaurants. This is the third program for restaurants, and it's targeted to their revenue loss as a result of COVID-19. So it's more generous, but you need to demonstrate need, and there are priority areas. And we want to make sure people take advantage of it who are eligible during this 21-day priority window. We don't know whether it's going to need more money. My guess is that it will need more resources, and I will support more resources for it. I want to make sure all eligible restaurants qualify and get help. But that's going to require some cooperation in Congress on both sides of the aisle. This is a bipartisan bill, so we will be looking to replenish funds, but there's no guarantees until we get it done.
Thank you. This question is from our CFO, Beverly Everson Jones. Is there a timeline for launching the partnership with HBCUs, and will it be started as pilot or rolled out to a large number of HBCUs? Part two is also, will it include opportunities for institutions to expand programs for students to be better prepared to become business owners?
Right. This is the uplift bill that I've introduced, so it's not law yet. So there's no, the specifics could very well change between now and enactment, but the legislation would provide for those partnerships to be on an ongoing basis. To provide opportunities for small minority businesses to partner between SBA and HBCUs and other minority institutions so that we could have help in their access to capital and their incubator issues so that they can deal with the challenges of a startup company and to do accelerators so that they can get to the market faster. All of that would be in partnership with historically Black institutions or minority institutions, and it would be on a permanent basis. But again, the legislation has not yet been acted upon, and it could obviously be modified as it goes through a legislative process.
Thank you. Senator Cardin, this question is from one of our board members, John Hale. Is there a federal legislation to enhance and update the 8A business development program, such as increasing the sole source threshold from 4 million, which has been unchanged for many years, the length of time before exiting the program, or anything else? Any changes?
Yeah, it's a great question. We do think we need to update the 8A certification rules, and we are looking at whether we'll have an opportunity to do that as part of the American Jobs Plan. So it is under active consideration, and we welcome your thoughts. We recognize that needs to be updated and modernized. We were able to put in previous legislation for COVID-19 an extra year of eligibility because of COVID-19. So we recognize we still have a cliff, and we're looking at ways that we can deal with that, including the requirements in regards to sole source.
Thank you. This question from Lisa Smith. Thanks you for supporting the programs like the Bowie Bix 8A's Accelerator for federal contractors at Bowie State University. And then ask, what other programs and policies are you looking at to ensure even greater federal contracting success for underserved companies?
Well, as you are probably aware, the federal government's the largest purveyor of goods and services in the world. So it can provide incredible opportunities. I want to give a shout out to the Small Business Administration, in that the 23% set aside for small businesses has generally been met by agencies, and that took time. And we had an advocate on behalf of small businesses in the SBA, and most of the agencies have met those goals. We are not as successful in meeting the goals in regards to minority small businesses or women-owned small businesses or veteran-owned small businesses. So we do want to see stronger compliance with the underserved small businesses. We also believe that we have not met the spirit of the law in regards to prime contracts versus subcontracts. We find that contracting agents many times bundle contracts into a large contract, making it virtually impossible for a small business to compete to get the prime contract, and they're used as subcontractors. In many cases, we see abuse by the prime contractor of our subcontractors. So we want to improve all those aspects of it. But we also believe we have a chance to increase the numbers as we increase the size of our infrastructure package. So we are looking at ways to strengthen the government procurement rules as it relates to all small businesses, with particular focus to the underserved, underbanked, minority small businesses.
Thank you. And that is all the questions that are in the chat.
Okay.
That was rapid fire. You guys are good.
So Senator Cardin, at this time, and thank you so much for your patience and allowing the opportunity for us to ask these questions. I think they've been very pointed questions at you about where we're going with some of the programs that are targeted for small and minority businesses. In particular, you've addressed concerns about the 8A Accelerator program, leveling the playing field for procurement to access. Also, what else we need to be doing to make sure that we gain access to equity and debt. And so we thank you for all of that. We've been monitoring your legislation and providing comments where necessary, either through our trade association or directly. And so we appreciate those opportunities as well. At this time, I'm going to ask, since we have a few extra minutes with you, I understand we have a few extra minutes. We have 4 small businesses that took advantage of COVID-19 grant dollars and PPP money, and I thought it would be beneficial for you to hear from them. First is Kim and Alan Stevenson with Fit to Function Pilates. I'll have them give their story and how they've been impacted or benefited from these dollars. Kim?
Hi. Yep. Hi. How are you all? I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'll try to keep it concise. And my husband's on, but we're in 2 different locations, so he may chime in, but I will try to keep this very concise. First of all, I just wanted to thank you, Senator Cardin, just for all you're doing and all you've done to help small businesses. I want to thank Ms. Gross-Wade as well as FSC for your support as well. And the county, Prince George's County, we could not have stayed open without the assistance from Prince George's County. So the Honorable County Executive Angela Austin Brooks wanted to say thank you to her and the county as well. Yes, we were blessed to be beneficiaries of the SBA EDL loan and got the advance. We also got the Maryland grant. We were able to get the PPP, and then we got a significant grant from the county as well through FSC. So all those funds together were truly a godsend to help us stay open. We are new business owners. As you can see, we own a franchise called Club Pilates. It's a reformer-based Pilates studio located in Laurel, Maryland at the town Center of Laurel. And we had just opened August of 2019, new to just, like I said, business owning and just all the facets of it. And things were going well. Our membership, it's a membership-based franchise, and our membership had grown. We were doing really well. I think we were up to like 330 members. And then March 16th came, and we had to basically close our doors. And probably with everybody, like everyone else, you know, it just came out of nowhere. Obviously, we followed the guidelines and all the mandates, and we shut down and had no idea of what was next or what to do next. The corporate franchise is very helpful, very supportive in giving direction. So we followed that, but we had to freeze all of our members. Of course, they had questions. We had no answers, but we continued to move through the process. We were able to then apply for all the monetary funding that I mentioned, and thank God did get the funding. We did try to do virtual classes, but those didn't go so well for us. So we were generating no income. There was nothing coming in at all from the business, and it was pretty frightening for us. But with the loans and the grants, we were able to continue to pay our lease. We have an equipment loan, which is about $3,000 a month. And we were trying to figure out how we could continue to keep our staff working for us as much as we could, like paying our instructors to maybe do some virtual classes, paying some of our front desk staff to continue to help us as well. So the funds helped us in that regard to a certain degree. But then come July 6th, we were able to reopen. You know, there were a lot of false starts, if you will, in the sense that we were hearing that the state was opening, but then the county wasn't. But thank God we were able to reopen July 6th of last year. Very slow going, because with COVID, as you can imagine, people were afraid to come back. So a lot of people remained frozen. So we were not bringing income in, and the money that we were able to get through the loans and the grants were basically helping us to, you know, stay afloat as far as paying our different responsibilities. But thank God, over time, members slowly started getting comfortable to come back. A lot of new people came to us, so that was very, very encouraging, because it spoke to the fact that even though we were in the state of, you know, being shut down and uncertainty, people still wanted to work out. People still wanted to get healthy. And so we were getting new members. And fast forward to this year, we're thriving. Our membership is growing. People have come off a freeze. But it is still a challenge, because people are still, you know, in the process of getting vaccinated and concerned about coming into the space. But we were able to manage, because when we did reopen, we have 12 reformers, and we cut down to 6. So we could have the 6 feet distance and give people the social distancing. And we put a lot of things into place to hopefully make our members feel comfortable in coming back and know that they were in a safe space. And, you know, we're now back to 12 reformers, thank God. And like I said, members have come back. We have new members joining, and we know how important what we offer is, especially looking at how COVID affected our community with the comorbid conditions and et cetera. So we know how important it is for us to work hard to, you know, help people to stay healthy and stay in shape. And our members wanted that. And so thank God that we were able to continue offering that to them. So thank you. And we thank you all, because without your assistance, we would have closed down for sure. So
Thank you,
we just
Kim.
wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Kim covered it all quite well.
Thanks, Kim and Alan Stevenson. We appreciate you. And thanks for choosing Prince George's County for your business location.
Thank you. We'll hopefully have 2 others.
Wonderful.
There you go.
Next, we will hear from Mark and Sharon Ridley with the Brass Tap at National Harbor. Mark, you're up.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. My wife is unavailable today. She's in Jacksonville, Florida, visiting family. But thank you, Eddie Tubman, for getting us involved in this opportunity to be able to talk to the senator. Senator, thank you for taking time to even listen to us. I think this is massive. I can tell you, I'm a retired government employee. I spent 29 years with the federal government at NCIS. And when I retired, I elected to open a craft beer bar at the National Harbor. So we've been in business for about 4 years now, and the business was thriving, doing really well. And then, of course, as the previous business owner stated, we got shut down in March, and we were shut down for about 2 months. And then as things continued to progress, they allowed us to do some outdoor seating and then, takeout. So we took advantage of that, but not so much as well as other restaurants. Really, our place is a place where people come and relax and have fun. I kind of talk about our place being like a neighborhood bar in the National Harbor, something like Cheers. So where people come, relax, they have fun. And I'll tell you, we have some great stories. Since we've reopened, we've had a lot of customers that have come back. It's remarkable what people will do. They'll come in and they'll spend $50 on a check and leave a $100 tip. It's just amazing what people do. But I can tell you some of the help that we've received, and definitely through FSC First, a couple of grants from the county. We got a grant from the state. We were in EIDL, we did PPP1, PPP2, and now we're in the process of looking at the revitalization fund. Thank you so much for your efforts. I appreciate President Biden's efforts. It's really been something that's going to help us keep our lights on and be able to sustain and continue doing what we're doing. The National Harbor is a unique place. If you know the National Harbor, it's driven by the Gaylord Convention Center. And the Gaylord has been shut down since March of last year. So that changes the whole dynamic with business. But with all that being said, we're getting new local traffic. We're doing takeout now, and our customer base has changed. And quite frankly, when the Gaylord opens in July, I'm not sure how we're going to be able to keep up with all the business that we're having. Anyway, thank you much for your efforts. And FSC First, you guys rock. I really appreciate you. Eddie, you know what I think about you as well. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you as well. And thanks for choosing Prince George's County. You could have built that business anywhere else, but you built it in the best place in Maryland, which is right here in Prince George's County. So thank you. Next, we will have Tonya Jackson with Tanya's Hair Lounge.
Yes, hello, everyone. First, I want to say thank you, Senator Cardin. Thank you, FSC panel, the whole panel. Mr. Eddie Tubin, I hope I'm saying that right. I want to thank each and every one of you. I have a small business hair salon on Brinkley Road, and it's a ray of light on Brinkley Road, if I can say that. Prior to the pandemic, I was struggling in the business, and then the pandemic hit. So that left me wanting to just shut down. But I had to think about it. I thought about it. I was trying to get loans and grants. I did speak to Mr. Eddie Tubin. I did get the FSC grant from you all, and I really appreciate that. I did get the SBA loan. I got an SBA loan. The EDL I was turned down for. The PPP, I got the first PPP. So I'm still trying to get the EDL, the PPP. I'm still trying to get, I'm a Black woman, small business owner, and I'm trying to get whatever I can get for my business. I do want to say I have been receiving new people, and like I say, it's a ray of light on Brinkley Road. If you've been on Brinkley Road, it's a lot going on Brinkley Road, but the people love to see me there. So they come and support, and I want to just continue to thrive at my first hair salon on Brinkley Road. Wow. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Tanya. And we will be here for you as you continue to grow the lounge. So stay in touch, and we will be in touch with you to continue to provide whatever resources you need. You've got the drive. Now we're going to help you get there.
Yeah, right? Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Cardin, Senator Cardin, if you would indulge me one more minute, I have a fourth business that I would like for you to hear from Arisha Brown. And Arisha you spoke earlier to the importance of having tutoring services in the neighborhoods where where the schools have been closed and our kids have lost an entire year of what has been the traditional education environment for them. But it's people like our next presenter that we believe will help get our at-risk students over the hurdle so that they can get back on track for their next grade level in school. Arisha?
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks, Senator Cardin, for all that you do. Thanks, FSC, for the invite and everything that you've done for me. Eddie, you're the greatest, you know that. So I want to say that I received an EIDL loan. And since at that point I was a sole proprietor the prior year, it wasn't a lot, but every bit helps. And I was very appreciative of that. Then I received an SBA loan, which really helped me because when the pandemic struck, I lost 3/4 of my clients because they did not want to switch over from in-person tutoring to virtual tutoring. Now, luckily, I kind of started getting involved with the virtual tutoring in 2018 and 2019 because I thought that would be another good thing to offer in addition to the in-person tutoring because technology is always growing and evolving and I want to make sure that I'm staying up with the times. So that loan and the EIDL was able to help with that. Now, when I received the FSC grant, that took me to the next level because that helped me tremendously with marketing and advertising to try to get new clients online when I had been used to getting clients by word of mouth or in person or going around or flyers or signs and things of that nature. So I'm really appreciative of that. And I was able to grow actually last year. My clientele probably tripled from what it was before the pandemic. So I also was able to get a PPP loan, which was helpful. And I have a lot of big plans for helping the youth to help them not only academically, but to help motivate them to want to do better and want to achieve and accomplish something. So basically, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do. I've read your resume, just everything you've done, Senator Cardin, and it's very impressive all that you've done in the Senate and in the House just over the years. It was so much, I really couldn't even read every line in detail. I just kind of skimmed through. I was like, wow, he's been busy. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you for fitting me in. Shelley, you all at FSC are the greatest. If I ever need to borrow money, you're going to be the first people I come to. And also, if you ever need help with volunteers for anything, I have time and the desire to be helpful in any way possible. I have a lot of great ideas on how we can improve the economy and just improve things in the state of Maryland. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Arisha. And we appreciate you that you entrusted your need to us. We know that that requires you to be transparent in some areas, and we were happy to provide those resources to you. And many of you have given accolades to Eddie, and I do want to give thanks to Eddie for getting you all on today. Eddie is our Chief Lending Officer, but he did not blink when I said, Eddie, I need you to reach out to some PPP applicants. He's been there to respond to you across the board if you needed assistance with gaining access to PPP, recognizing that it is not something that we do directly at FSC First, but knowing how to provide access to it is just as important. So I want to thank you all. I thank my entire team for their unwavering support of our small businesses. They have not thought it beneath them to reach out during a time of need. And in fact, every single member of the FSC First team has embraced and ushered our business owners to other resources as needed. I'm grateful for your attention today. I'm grateful for your opportunities extended to us, Senator Cardin, and it's my pleasure to yet again say that FSC First assisted over 1,500 businesses with $30 million, $34 million in financing through grants. That was a first for us at FSC First. We had spent decades telling business owners, don't come asking for grants. We only do loans. And then like many of our businesses, we too had to pivot. And we were delighted that County Executive also Brooks gave us the opportunity to prove that we could in fact pivot to be a valuable resource to our businesses in Prince George's County. In addition to that, we're servicing about $50 million in direct loans to many small businesses in Prince George's County. And we could not have done that without our SBA 504 loan program and our Community Advantage 7A guarantee program, which our bank partners provide the resources to make those direct loans, and by being a lender service provider to about a dozen other programs locally and statewide. So Senator Cardin, it's my pleasure to give you the floor for closing remarks. Again, on behalf of the Board of Directors, the entire team of FSC First, and a representative sampling of those businesses that have been impacted the greatest by COVID, I thank you for your time today. Oh, and I would be remiss if I did not also thank Jared for just being an ear and being available and providing this opportunity, making sure that we made it happen. So thank you, Jared, for facilitating this opportunity.
Well, Shelley, first, thanks for recognizing Jared. He is such an incredible resource for Prince George's County as a bridge between our office and the county. And Shelley, thank you so much for putting all this together. I particularly want to acknowledge the 4 business owners that you had on this call. You know, we hear the numbers, you cited some numbers, and I cited numbers, 10 million small businesses getting these loans. Each one has a story. Mm-hmm. And we heard 4 of them today. So thank you, it's incredible. And what these stories show is that small businesses are resilient. Look what you did in National Harbor without data to stay open. You found a way. That's resiliency. You figured out a way to try to do things better. Look what you did in tutoring in 2018, recognizing there may be a market in regards to virtual tutoring. And then come to the pandemic, this becomes a necessity. You have innovation. You have ways of doing things. Look what all 4 of you have done for your community, giving them hope. So it is exactly what we had hoped in the tools we make available to small business. And I must tell you, I thought all 4 of you, your examples really give me energy to go back and fight for more to help. So to all of you, thanks for what you do to help our community. Thanks for what you do for Prince George's County. And it really is an honor to represent you in the Senate. And I look forward to working with you in partnership to even do more for our community.
Thank you, Senator Cardin.
Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.